financial news and talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate.
I cannot remember the last
Here we
name.
go.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message. I will be delivering it every day. We're a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get to our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest. Lynda Eisenmann is in the house. Welcome.
Thank you, Ron. Good to be here.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Well, I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, and I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number on your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Sometimes we have bigger celebrations. Sometimes we have short, like yesterday. Boy, that was the simplest of celebrations yesterday. We had one item to celebrate, so we were able to get a little rest in because we weren't celebrating quite as much. But hey, today is National Sugar Cookie Day. Is it time for tomorrow yet, National Pina Colada Day? I'm just throwing that out there. Let's check and see what the markets are doing. The Dow Jones Industrial Average recovering just a little bit, down 78 points. S&P 500 down 1 point. NASDAQ is now up 25. Oil up 14 cents. And the U.S. 10-year Treasury, it's jumping a little bit today. It's at 2.057. Now, I told you we were going to go down to the 1.9 range. We've gotten into that area. We're going to be now going, I'm saying, next stop, 1.82, 1.83, en route to a 1.2. Yeah, I know that some people are saying that how could that possibly be, but 1.2 if you're a senior, yeah, it's not going to be pleasant. Because a lot of seniors, you're living off of that fixed income. There are better places to get fixed income. I don't give financial advice, and I would not tell you that Ford stock is paying about a 5.5% dividend. I wouldn't say anything like that. Might cause a little bit of confusion for people, so I won't tell you that. I won't tell you that Verizon stock is paying a good dividend. I won't say that one either. Or General Mills paying a good dividend. Won't say that one either. A lot better than that 1.2 that we've been talking about. But hey, those are some areas where you can get a lot better money, and Ford especially being one of those that we can say, the federal government has already proved that they're not going to let them go out of business. Stock trading at about 10. Not a bad area right there. Moving on to the news of the day. I am fascinated when I look at the news of the day, and I am sure that I'm going to get some lovely messages about this one. But you know something? It hurts sitting on a fence, so I am not going to sit there. How about this? I am going to suggest to you, how about this, the women's soccer team? Have you followed any of what's going on with the women's soccer team? Great, great team, a wonderful win, but now what? Now what is going on with the women's soccer team? I'm going to suggest to you that a lot of people aren't going to like this. The women's soccer team is probably very significantly overpaid. And I've heard a lot of commentary, and obviously crying Chuck Schumer has come out and said, well, we've got to have a law that says that they've got to be paid equally. Well, how do you determine what is equal? That's the question mark. And I'm going to share with you a couple of issues that have come up over the years. And many of them, Lynda, I think you're going to probably remember many of them. I'm not going to ask you to
Okay.
chime in on some of them. But I think it was right after the Northridge earthquake.
Yes.
The state of California, I believe that was the earthquake, it might have been Silmar, they decided that the insurance companies had to offer earthquake insurance to everybody. I don't know if you remember that or not, but it was one of those quakes, and what happened? Well, the insurance companies said, we're not going to offer any insurance in California.
Said goodbye.
Right? They said adios.
Yes.
In the early part of the 2000s, do you remember the subprime mortgage world? Now, you may like subprime, you may not like subprime. There are people that were getting ready to lose their houses, and they had a lot of debt, and in the subprime world, what they did was they were able to go and get a loan at a higher interest rate than what the market was, more risk, right? So the lenders decide, okay, we're going to have to charge more for that loan. Here comes the state of New Jersey and says you cannot charge an excessive amount for a high-risk subprime loan. What did the lenders do? Well, they left the state of New Jersey. They had 49 others that they could work in and get paid for the risk that they were taking. New Jersey comes back and says, hey, why can't our citizens get loans? Well, you regulated the industry out. How does all of that apply to women's soccer? Well, have you figured out, have you done any study other than listening to the headlines and crying chuck as to what, or the captain of the women's team, Megan Rapinoe, they're another piece of work, right? Standing on the American flag. Really, is that who you really want to be following, who you want to listen to? But here's the issue, saying that the women don't make as much as the men. Okay, so let's study that a little further, other than just coming out with a blanket statement like that. The women are paid $110,000 a year. For athletes, that is a small amount of money. But here's the issue. The women's soccer, because it is not a popular sport, worldwide nobody watches, right? It's a very, very small market. The women get paid a base salary plus a bonus. How do the men get paid? Well, they get no base salary. They only get the bonus. The men get paid 4% of revenue. The women get paid about 29% of revenue. Well, if you're getting 29% of revenue, aren't you making about 5 times what the men are making, maybe 6 times what the men are making? And you got a safety net there just because nobody watches. Now, I know in the U.S. people watch it, but it's not a U.S. game. It is an international game. You might want to take a look at some of these issues, because if they start regulating that the women get paid the same as the men, are they going to say, okay, you're going to get a percentage based on the revenue that you're made, and say now the women are going to get 4% of revenue, which is going to be a 80% pay reduction? Or are they going to go the other way and say, you've got to give the women the same dollars as the men, and you go that way and say, okay, well, I guess we just don't want to have a women's team because we cannot afford it. Because it's not getting paid by a company in the U.S., it's getting paid by an international company. See what happens when the government gets involved in some of these things? Now, if the women are so upset about the pay structure, got a great opportunity for them. Don't play, right? There's no one forcing them to play the sport and be so mistreated. So we've got to be careful of those type of opportunities or options right there, because it does tend to cause a problem when the government gets involved in issues like this. Just throwing that out there, because you are not going to hear that on any other broadcast. They're not going to give you that kind of an explanation. They're not going to say what happens when the government starts doing some of these things. That's one of the things that you get when you're listening to Ron Siegel Radio. Now, hey, how about this one? I'm looking in the news today, another subject here for you in the morning briefing. Have you followed this one? Apparently, billionaire Tom Steyer.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, well, you know something? I think I might be a fan of Tom Steyer, ever so briefly. Here it is, because Tom Steyer has been calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump. He's got all kinds of money. And now what is he planning on doing? He comes out and he says, I'm going to run for president. Now, we did lose an individual today who did the same thing once upon a time. Yes, H. Ross Perot died this morning, 89 years old. Many people are of the belief, I happen to be one of them, that if it was not for H. Ross Perot, Bill Clinton would not have been elected president. Think about that concept. So, Mr. Perot took 19% of the election in the George W. Bush or George H.W. Bush election versus Bill Clinton, 19%. Vast majority of that came from the Republicans, and we all know history from there. Bill Clinton became a two-term president. Well, Tom Steyer, he's out there, said that he is going to run for president. He probably won't be in any of the debates because he doesn't really need to have any of their money, right? So he may not have enough money to qualify for the debates, but he will take a certain percentage of votes, most likely from the Democrats. Just throw that out there for you to watch. Tom Steyer, big mouth from San Francisco, going to be out there running for president. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, powerful reasons to own a home instead of rent a home. What happens when you buy a home, but the appraisal does not match the purchase price? What happens then? Do you lose out? Is a contract voided? We're going to talk about that today. We'll get a little bit of an education on that. When will I be debt-free? I better not even talk about that one. When will I be debt-free? That'll be our other subject of the morning as well. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We will be back in just a few.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Did you know that banks and credit bureaus are rewarded financially if you have bad credit? And the worse your credit score is, the more money they can make off of you? How does that make you feel, knowing that banks are getting rich off of your hard-earned money? How does it make you feel, knowing that if a bank or a credit bureau makes a mistake on your credit report, they benefit from it and it hurts you? The Fair Credit Report Act of 1971 requires banks and credit bureaus to report only accurate information, and nearly 100% of all credit reports are inaccurate. If you're sick and tired of being broke and tired of being robbed by the banks, you owe it to yourself and to your family to call Rondi. Rondi is a FICO-certified credit professional and has helped thousands of people just like you get out of debt and establish great credit. Rondi's number is 855-608-1990. Again, that's 855-608-1990. Or visit creditsanitizer.com. Again, that website is creditsanitizer.com.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel Radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission. Lending partners will give a credit at closing. The title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message. I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends over at Gold Star Mortgage when you're ready for that next mortgage. Gold Star has the programs. They've got the products for you. Just give me a call at 800-306-1990. I will put you in touch with them. What's happening in the markets today? The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 84 points. NASDAQ up 27. The S&P 500 down 1. We're looking at the U.S. 10-year Treasury, 2.058 as we speak, and mortgage-backed securities, they are down 6 basis points, which means interest rates are slightly higher. But why is all of that happening? What is going on in the marketplace driving these markets? Well, we've got the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell will be speaking this morning regarding stress testing and the U.S. economy. While it's possible he may make some comments that can impact the markets, markets really looking forward to tomorrow and Thursday, where he will be speaking to both the House and the United States Senate. The National Federation of Independent Businesses released their optimism index for May, showing that optimism levels among small businesses dropped from 105 to 103.3. Plans to hire fell 2 points to 19%. And I did notice in the JOLTS report that just came out, the job openings report, that it came out today, talking a little bit about there's 7.3 million job openings, more than there are people out there looking for jobs. So we've got the small businesses not really looking to hire. We've got people out there that are other businesses are looking to hire. The National Federation of Independent Businesses said, as expectations for sales gains in the general business environment faded, uncertainty levels increased. They also said the economy is still advancing at a solid pace, but is expected to be a slower pace than the first quarter. We talked about that. The first quarter, we added a lot to inventory. CoreLogic came out. They released their loan performance report for the month of April, and there were some big improvements. Now, that's good news because many of us remember what happened in 2008, 2009, 2010. Loans 30 days or more past due improved significantly from 4% to 3.6%. Doesn't sound like a big number, but that's a 10% improvement. While seriously delinquent loans, which is defined as 90 days or more, dropped from 1.4 to 1.3. Seriously delinquent homes in foreclosure were unchanged, 0.4%. 0.4%. That means 1 out of every 400 homes are in foreclosure. Add to that, about 30% of the homes don't have mortgages, so they are not going into foreclosure. We're at a 50-year low. So if you're out looking for that distressed property, you're going to have to really look hard to find that. That is the Mortgage Minute. Again, brought to you by our friends at Gold Star Mortgage. When you're ready for that next mortgage, Gold Star has the programs. They've got the products for you. Just a couple of shout-outs this morning. I know Michael Cox is in the house. Welcome. And you need a new bottle of wine, Michael. Glad to get in touch with you. John Hammond, a great home inspector there. Nicole is on the line with us. We've got David on the line, Genevieve, Nikki. Got a whole host on the line with us. We appreciate every one of you. We know there are other things you could be doing on a wonderful Tuesday morning. We appreciate you being here and spending a little bit of your time with us. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of education out of our conversation this morning. Lynda Eisenmann is with us, Preferred Home Brokers. We got some great education from Lynda. She's been in the industry more than a day or two.
You're right.
Never ever want to say a number, but I know that you've shared that many times.
A very long time.
But that tells us you've seen just about everything
Yes.
that's And Lynda, you and I talk about this, and we never really schedule what we're going to chat about because our conversations just go the way they go.
They do.
And one of the things that's wonderful that you and I have talked about, and we talked about purple bricks in the past. We didn't use them by name, but they're gone. They've left the U.S., and you and I have chatted with all of the experience that you have. You still mentioned that there's still hiccups in transactions.
Well, there can be, and,
Right.
and there normally are.
And the big benefit of a great real estate professional is experience.
Help being a problem solver.
Right? But you've seen it before.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, the most of the things that come up, you don't know that they're going to come up in this particular transaction, whatever that might be. But it's probably not a real big surprise. It's something you've experienced.
Normally, yes.
One of them that I've been seeing recently, and again, we see this a lot in shifting markets, is appraisals. Every market we have appraisals, but in shifting markets, when they're either going up rapidly, going down rapidly, there becomes some questions as to, we see appraisals that don't necessarily match the contract.
Is that something you're seeing now? Because we're not experiencing it just yet, so...
I've seen it a bit.
Have you?
Yeah, I've seen it a bit recently, and it has, I don't know whether in some instances it can even be a poor appraiser. Right, because we do see that. We don't have the opportunity anymore, again, because of federal laws. We can't really vet appraisers. Right, we have to use an appraisal management company. They then hire the appraiser. We don't know who they really are as a lender. And, they can come out and do a great job. They can come out and do a poor job. And the homeowner, we see this a lot in refi markets, right? And we're going into a strong refi market right now. Right, so that's when we see that. But when you're buying a house, if the appraisal doesn't come in, does that just kill the contract? Is it over?
Well, no, not necessarily. First of all, you have to decide, or you have to determine whether or not there's an appraisal contingency in the contract.
Okay.
Not every contract has an appraisal contingency. I will tell you that the average one we do write does have a contingency. That's a protection for the buyer in the event that the appraisal comes in low. But every now and then, you have a buyer who says, I want to buy this property. I'm not concerned about the appraisal. If it comes in low, I'm okay. It's something that you and I talked about once before. And, I mentioned to you that the last property that I bought, I knew I wanted that particular property. And if the appraisal came in low, I wasn't concerned about it because I was willing to pay the price that I had offered, irrespective of what the appraisal came in at. However, the issue that we deal with is so many buyers out there, their loan that they're applying for is predicated on an appraisal amount based on the price that they paid.
Sure. So they end up going to the maximum they can possibly get on the loan value. And that's what really causes their issues as to how to deal with it.
That's where we have an issue.
Right, if you're in a 3.5% FHA loan or a 3% Fannie Freddie loan, right, then you have to say, okay, well, how am I going to deal with it? What are the options, though, that you have? So in your case, and I don't want to get personal with you, but say you're going to put 30% down, then does that have a problem? I mean, is there a...
Normally, no.
Okay.
Normally, in that case, there would not be a problem. It's interesting that we're doing this topic because I did a video on this same subject a couple of years ago. And the question is, well, what happens when your appraisal comes in low? There's several things that can happen. Either, basically speaking, this is a general rule, either the seller comes down to the appraisal amount, the buyer pays over the appraisal, or sometimes they meet somewhere in the middle. And that's not uncommon at all for them to meet somewhere in the middle.
And that becomes a big issue because one of the things that we've chatted about on radio many, many times is the need for having a great real estate professional that is representing you as opposed to everybody or nobody having agents.
That and an agent who really understands the process. And what I've explained to buyers also and sellers is, but there's got to be some basis for the appraisal amount. There's got to be something to track. It's got to be other area sales, neighborhood sales, and give or take a little for condition, give or take a little for location, but there's got to be some basis to establish that value. And what we know, most appraisers use the properties that are the closest, nearest, the most similar to the subject property they're appraising.
And they're using something that's already sold.
That's right.
Right? And as an agent, you're trying to project what you can sell the property for, to try, representing a seller, to get them the highest fair price for their property.
Well, that's true. And it's also important to know if you're in an appreciating or a depreciating market, understanding the market in general. Are prices building on, is one price building on the next price, so on and so forth? Or are you in a somewhat level or flat market, or are you in a declining market?
So where are we now?
So I think we're in a normal market right now.
Okay.
When I say normal, we are seeing some slight appreciation. We're not seeing anything like we saw during the peak, either up or down. I think we're in a completely normal market right now.
And that data may or may not be the same as what you see on the evening news, right? Because the evening news is going to come out with national numbers.
And it's local. It's really local.
Right.
It's what's going on in your own backyard.
Right, and that's, again, the reason that you can look at the news and say, okay, the market's up X number of percentage, and that may be understated or overstated.
True.
So you need to have somebody that's out there doing this on a regular basis, that's got some experience, and can say, showing the competition, right, for the property.
Without a doubt.
Right, and how many properties are on the market?
How many properties are on the market? How long have they been sitting there? Because we talked once before, it's a lot about, not just about pricing, but it's also about positioning if you're a home seller, and positioning that property to sell. And that does not necessarily mean be the lowest or the highest on the market. It depends upon where that property ranks in comparison to similar properties. And when I say similar, I don't mean an extreme low or extreme high. Middle of the road.
Interesting information. I want to talk more with Lynda Eisenmann when we come back. Positioning the property, hey, what does the seller's motivation have anything to do with it? We're going to talk to Lynda about that as well when we come back. Powerful reasons to own instead of rent. That will be another topic. And when will I be debt-free? All that and more. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter, @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Siegel Lending Team offers you buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,900. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.75%, APR 3.85%, that payment could support a $416,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6.5%, which is roughly the average home mortgage rate over the past 30 years, that same $1,900 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $314,000 mortgage. That's over $100,000 worth of home you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. All you need to do to get started is reach out to the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance. Call us for full details, 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or SiegelLendingTeam.com. Equal housing lender, licensed under NMLS number 217037.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home?
If
you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel Lending Team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel Lending Team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Homeowners that are 62 and older are about to find out a great way to live a better retirement. It's called a reverse mortgage, and SLT can help you learn more. Call the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990 right now to receive your free booklet with no obligation. It answers questions like how a reverse mortgage works, how much you qualify for, the ways to receive your money, and more. When you call the experts at Siegel Lending Team today, you'll learn the benefits of a government-insured reverse mortgage, how it will eliminate your monthly mortgage payments, and give you tax-free cash from the equity in your home. Here's the best part. You still own your home. Now is the best time to take control of your retirement. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 to get your free brochure. Call today or visit our website at SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com, or simply call 800-306-1990.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Good morning, Dave. Glad to see you checking in with us this morning. Real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T to 79564. Find your dream home before someone else does. Powerful reasons to own instead of rent. Owning a home has great financial benefits. In a recent research paper, Home Ownership and the American Dream, Lori S. Goodman and Christopher Mayer of the Urban Land Institute explained, quote, home ownership appears to help borrowers accumulate housing and non-housing wealth in a variety of ways with tax advantages, greater financial flexibility due to secured borrowing, built-in default savings with mortgage amortization and nominally fixed payments, and the potential to lower home maintenance costs through sweat equity, unquote. 5 major financial benefits to home ownership. Number 1, housing is typically the one leveraged investment available. So if you put 5% down, 20 times leverage right there. 10% down, 10 times leverage. Just a thought there for you. Number 2, you're paying for housing whether you own or rent. Pay your rent or pay your mortgage or your landlord's. You're paying somebody's. Owning is usually a form of forced savings. Studies show that homeowners have a net worth is 44 times greater than that of a renter. As a matter of fact, it was recently estimated that a family buying an average-priced home this past January could build more than $42,000 in family wealth over the next 5 years. Again, that is national numbers, not Southern California numbers. Our numbers are going to be higher than that. Owning is a hedge against inflation. There are still substantial tax benefits to owning. Yeah, I know we're in Taxifornia, so the benefits might be limited a little bit, but many of us still see those. Bottom line, from a financial standpoint, owning a home has always been, will always be better than renting. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment, again brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Did you get the free digest yet? All you have to do is text or email. Go to the website, SLT Home Digest. Eventually I'll get there. I mean, there's enough options. SLTHomedigest.com, no spaces. SLTHomedigest.com, no spaces. Give you a monthly report on your home, very, very specific to your home only. Just another free service from Ron Siegel Radio. Chatting this morning with Lynda Eisenmann, we are talking about home ownership. Lynda's with Preferred Home Brokers. So we were chatting before the break about housing on the market, houses staying on the market. Is there a benefit? What causes houses to just be sitting there on the market? Is it good? Is it bad? How does it affect, what is the bearing on appraisals? So we're going to get some education on that, or continue our educational journey with Lynda. We've been talking about that. So Lynda, you were talking before the break about positioning a property from a seller's standpoint. So what are you looking for? Are you taking into account a targeted days on market? Is it better to have more days, less days? I mean, I know that more days means that it's out there being pushed or not being sold, and then no one wants their house on the market. They want their house sold. But from a financial standpoint, is there a sweet spot in there to say I maximized my return?
Well, I think generally speaking, if a property sells closer to a list date or an on-market date, so to speak, I think the seller is normally better off. I think the seller is going to be doing better than a property sitting on the market for a period of time. Because if other buyers have passed on it, there's no sense of urgency for the next buyer to move forward on it. So to me, it's just common sense.
Okay, so we look at, you look at some of the online websites, and they tell you that the property's been on the market for X number of days. So could I assume then that the more days it's going to be on the market, the better, that I might be able to make a lower offer?
I would think it's it's possible. I think there's different things that you look at. You look at days on the market, and while that's important, you also look to see what the other competition is in the neighborhood. I mean, it's usually price, terms, condition, or location. And all of those work together. And if it's a property that's very well priced, but maybe the location is a drawback. We have a lot of freeways in Southern California. Depends upon how close you might live to a freeway and how much freeway noise you're going to get, for example.
Okay, so then we want to really be looking at all of that. So again, with this, do you have that conversation as part of the interview process when you're talking to a seller or a potential seller?
You have to. It's crucial to that seller for them to make an informed decision. They've got to understand the marketplace. They've got to understand positioning versus just pricing.
Now, my experience, I'm not a real estate agent, but I do play one on TV sometimes, right, is that every consumer, every homeowner, their property is worth more than anybody else on the block.
Well, that's pretty common.
Right?
That is pretty common. Maybe they Zillowed it.
Right.
And you and I both know that, I have a lot of different opinions of Zillow. And I think I gave you one example before. I'm in a neighborhood in particular, not far from here, and Zillow has one street in particular, and I've checked prices on this street very carefully. Zillow has a property on one side of the street actually priced the same, or valuated the same, can't say that, as the one on the opposite side of the street. But what Zillow is, and because they're looking at the overall size, the bedrooms, baths, square footage, that sort of thing.
Sure.
Number one, they're not normally looking at condition, but they're looking at the immediate sales in the neighborhood. However, what Zillow doesn't realize is the homes on one side of the street actually back a 4-lane road.
Big difference. You got a little bit of noise.
Opposite side of the street, they back a golf course.
Holy cow.
Now, you tell me the difference between those two. And Zillow doesn't understand that. All they look at the square footage. They look at the fact that one property could be 200 feet away on the other side of the street. But again, one's on a golf course, one backs a 4-lane road.
That sounds like a significant difference and a significant miss.
Well, it should
be.
You're absolutely right.
Right, and we all know that the old adage of real estate is location.
Location.
Right, and what do you want to hear? Do you want to hear a golf ball every 7 minutes or something like that, or 4-lane highway every 30 seconds or 10 seconds?
Do you want to look at beautiful green grass in Southern California?
Right.
Versus having maybe a slump stone wall behind you, and on the other side of the wall you have 4 lanes of traffic.
Big difference, and again, that's why you have to be careful. Now, and I use I don't have as good an example as you're sharing there, Lynda, but I did look at the CEO of Zillow when he sold his house in San Francisco, and their estimate was about 35% off of what he sold it. Now, you would think that they would at least get the CEO's property correct.
That's a good one.
Right, you'd hope that they'd actually have that one done properly, but I mean, it's just amazing that they don't do that. Mm-hmm. Right, so again, that goes back to having a local agent that knows the marketing area, or at least can drive by it. I mean, because local could be, I know that you do some business in North Orange County, mm-hmm. but you also do some business 100 miles away out in the Coachella Valley.
Well, and that was precisely my example. The example I was using, where one side of the street was the golf course and the opposite side was the 4-lane highway, and that is in the Coachella Valley.
Right, and that's a huge. That's big time difference, and it's a big time valuation. That's one of the reasons why I love this new Home Digest that we've come out with, SLT Home Digest, is it allows for a real estate professional, if you challenge the value of your property, we can have a real estate professional go in there and update some of these statistics to see what it makes sense for. So it really helps out there. Conditions or competition is one of the other topics I wanted to talk about, Lynda. Do you have to put somebody in the car to go and do that, or do you bring out reports from the MLS to show people or demonstrate what the competition is so that they can make an educated decision?
Well, the good news is we have so much information online now, and it's so visual as long as the agents are using a lot of photos. So there are times that you can have a pretty good idea of the condition of that home just by looking at the photos online. So occasionally there's a need for a drive-by, but normally you can pretty much view everything online.
So you can show that to the seller. Now that was another question.
Let me piggyback on that. When I say view things like that online, we had a situation, and it wasn't that long ago, that we had an appraisal that looked like it was going to come in low. And one of the things that the appraiser told me after the fact, I heard through the grapevine that the appraiser completely missed, is the fact that one of the properties that he used as a comparison actually backed a storage lot for the gas company, Southern California Gas Company. And when we appealed the appraisal, the appraiser said, I don't know how I missed that. But you could see it on an aerial, but apparently somebody didn't do an aerial view. But that did impact an appraisal at one point. So
again, it goes back to the location and understanding that. Now that was another question I was just going to ask you. I'm glad I almost read my mind there, Lynda. I don't know. Maybe I'm pretty transparent. So the question that I would have there is photos online. So if a property sells, I just saw this on an appraisal that I was reviewing for a listener over the weekend. And the photos, there was a property model match directly across the street. And we went and looked online, and it said that the property had sold for X number of dollars. But there was next to no photos, yet the appraiser was able to give a valuation of the property. So I want to find out from Lynda when we come back, are there areas that these pictures are stored somewhere? We're going to talk to Lynda Eisenmann about that when we come back, and how that might affect the appraised value of the property. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When will I be debt-free? We'll talk about that as well. You can reach me anytime. Our offer number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter, @Ron Siegel. And again, if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1, on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams, or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Most businesses struggle to get the online reviews they need to get a competitive edge over their competition. Rex is a brand new technology that uses text messages to direct happy clients to your online review sites, Zillow, Google, Facebook, and Yelp, and unhappy clients to a private survey, so businesses can win more customers. Try Rex today by going to www.meetrex.com. Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
You have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership. What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call the Ron Siegel Team at 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation real estate plan. You be the judge if this is right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to reap@ronsiegelradio.com or call today. Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990.
Rate subject to change and without notice. Licensed by the California DOC and BRENMLS 217037 and 145502 and Cal BRE 01869452 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report, it's wrong, they all are. CreditSanitizer.com, they have the solutions. Jeff Sipes, Blue Water Credit is the name of the company. They do a fantastic job of using the laws to make sure that your credit report is completely accurate. And more often than not, when the reports are accurate, somehow the scores do go up. When will I be debt-free? That is the question. There are several strategies to boost your payoff speed. There is the debt snowball. You focus on paying off your smallest debt first, paying minimums on the others, then roll the amount you had been paying on it into payments on the next largest. There are pros and cons to every one of these. The debt avalanche, you pay off your debt with the largest or the highest interest rate first, while paying minimums on the others, then the next highest interest rate, and so on. It may save you time and money over the course of your debt payoff. Debt consolidation. Combine multiple old debts into a single new one, ideally at a lower interest rate, making payments more manageable or the payoff period shorter. Debt management plan if you're facing a mountain of credit card debt and not making much progress. A non-profit credit counseling agency can set up a debt management plan to cut your interest rate and put you on a repayment plan. Do not go to the debt consolidation companies that do that. Most of them, I'm not going to say all, but most of them are a scam. There is a service that is set up by the credit card companies that will help you do that. They don't charge for it. Just a thought for you. Now you have to understand, what are you getting into? Are you trying to get your credit scores up? There's one strategy for that. If you're trying to just minimize payments, there's another strategy there. If you're just trying to get out of debt, that is another methodology of doing things. You just have to have the game plan. And remember, if you're sitting on a whole bunch of home equity, I told you yesterday, I gave you the game plan there, taking your 3.5% interest rate on your home, increasing it to 5%, saving $1,000 on that one particular project, $1,000 a month. Just a thought for you. So it's why we get involved a lot in debt strategies at Ron Siegel Radio. That's the Your Credit Matters segment. Again, brought to you by our friends over at CreditSanitizer.com. Chatting this morning, Lynda Eisenmann is in the house. Preferred Home Brokers. Melissa, glad to see you with us this morning. Another one, a great home inspector here in the North Orange County, actually all of Orange County area, and a genius when it comes to mold. So she's Lynda, I don't know if you know Melissa, but she knows more about mold. I can't spell half the stuff she talks about.
I need to connect with her because that does come up every now and then.
And it's fascinating because when she comes on and talks about mold and talks about some of the things that she does, the main methods that she talks about of resolving all these issues are the cheapest things you could ever imagine.
Bleach?
Nope. That was one that she says, don't use bleach.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
See, I learned something great this morning.
Vinegar?
Vinegar.
White vinegar is one of them. Hydrogen peroxide.
Okay.
and baking soda.
Oh my gosh.
Those are the items that she's taught me over the years on the broadcast. Now, I went and got vinegar the other day at Costco. It was, I think, $3 for 2 gallons.
Probably.
Right, I got 2 24-ounce bottles of hydrogen peroxide for $1.99, and I didn't even look at baking soda. But those 3 things, all very, very cheap. And Melissa shared with us the ways that go back to some of our old broadcasts, and you can see how to deal with mold and some of these other issues.
Well, I'm going to Google. What's it, Melissa?
Melissa Hammond.
Melissa Hammond. All right, I'm going to Google.
Now, I'll get you the information. If you want Melissa's contact information, just give me a call, 800-306-1990. Lynda, before we went on to the break,
yes,
we were chatting about photos, and I had this conversation with a listener last week, and one of the key items on every appraisal is the property condition. Mm-hmm. And the listener was asking me, okay, the appraiser came into my house and they saw what the condition of my house. They took all these different pictures of it, and then they came back and said the condition was above or below other properties that they valued. But do they go into every property to see what the values are, or are they using photos somewhere?
They usually use the data online, and the data online of comparable properties usually has a large number of photos there available, so the appraiser can eyeball it visually online to get an overall idea. And by the way, there are times that if I go out on a listing appointment, and if it's a property that I know has been on the market 5 years, 10 years ago, I'll go online to see what that property looked like just before I even go out to see someone.
Wow.
And I look, and it's the condition it was obviously at the time they bought it, but it's interesting to see.
So you can see if they've done any upgrades or maintenance.
Yes.
Now, are you looking just as a general online viewing, or are you going to an MLS or a multiple listing service? Do they keep that information on the multiple listing service?
They do. And I don't know exactly how many years it's there. It's I've got a listing that I just recently took, and it's going on the market actually tomorrow, and I went back, and the people bought it from me 7-8 years ago. I'm not sure exactly how many years ago it was, and I went back and took a look at it to see what it looked like at the time they bought it, because I know they've done so many improvements to it, and I just wanted to compare it, and I was amazed at looking at the old photos look like versus where it is today.
So you can actually walk into the property and say, well, you changed that, and you changed that, and they actually might think that you just remembered all that, right?
There's no way we could.
Right, I mean, you see so many properties, it's probably hard to even remember the properties you see in a day from beginning to end.
That can happen too.
Right, so it's a great tool there to refresh your memory.
We're very visual, we know that.
Sure. So the MLS does keep that data, so appraiser might be able to go in there and get the images, even though us lay people may not have them still available, on the major websites.
I think you're probably right. I'm going to guess, and I don't know how long Realtor.com keeps it. I don't imagine that some of the other secondary sites would keep it maybe as long, but Realtor.com probably keeps that data for a long time. That's an interesting question. I'm going to see what I can find out about that.
And there's a fascinating next step to that, because obviously if we've got all these photos online, there is a potential security issue.
Yes.
Right, so,
yes.
and I find that fascinating, because I hear people talk all the time, well, I don't want photos of my property because of the security, and nowadays we've got Airbnb where we're renting out our property to somebody that we don't know to come into the property and just let them have access to our house. We give them the key, actually. Right? I mean,
yes, you're right, literally.
Right? So think about that concept is I want to make sure my house is safe. I put an alarm system and cameras, and can't do that, I guess, on some of the Airbnb areas. Right? And then I hand somebody the keys to my house. Mm-hmm. Just a little head scratcher.
I totally agree with you.
I wonder about some of the things that we're doing nowadays in this disruptive market.
I think there's going to be things that we're going to live to regret, I'm sorry to say.
Unfortunately, I mean, and something, it's a wonderful concept, right? I mean, because who doesn't want to make a little extra money? And if I know I'm going to be out of town for a week and I can get, a little extra money for my house, it sounds good until you start thinking about all the potential risk.
Things that could happen.
Right? And we might have to talk also, and you may even know this answer because I'm sure you've got clients that do short-term rental. I wonder what the insurance implications are.
That's a good question.
Right? I mean, do I have to we'll have to get one of the insurance guys to come on and chat about what the insurance implications might be.
Absolutely. What's the liability overall?
Right? Somebody could trip and get hurt. I saw an article this morning when I was getting ready for the broadcast. Didn't know if I'd use it, but I can think of it right now, is that it was a lady overseas that was killed by a metal straw. Right? She was drinking a drink and tripped, and the metal straw went up into her brain, and it killed her. And you think about some of these things, and somebody could fall in your house. Right, I mean, what was the doctor, the weight loss doctor that, Atkins?
Oh, uh-huh.
Right, he slipped outside of his house and hit his head and died.
Oh, he did? Is that what happened?
Right.
Oh, gosh, I didn't know that.
So what happens if something like that happens on our property? We need to make sure we're covered from an insurance standpoint. Right, it's all scary stuff.
Got to work with a proper insurance professional.
Right. And again, it's, if they don't tell them these things, it's just like with a real estate professional, right? If I don't give you my, we were talking about pricing earlier in the broadcast. If I don't tell you that, hey, Lynda, I need to be moved in 45 days, that's the strategy. How do you know that?
I actually had that happen. I think I might have mentioned this once before. During a negotiation, I had a home seller who said, Lynda, I really don't want to counter that offer. He said, it's not as important for me to get a few $1,000s more for my house as it is to get my family relocated before school starts.
And that's important, right?
Absolutely. It was to him.
Right, and how many times, I'm sure over the course of your career, you've had many, many times that the price is not the motivating factor of a buyer or a seller.
It does happen.
Right? Could be that I don't have enough money for the down payment, or I don't have enough money for the closing costs, or I need to get my kids to a new school, a job.
Or if you have two offers at the same price, and there are times that a seller will make a decision because they happen to like one set of buyers more than the other.
And again, that goes to a great real estate professional who's putting in the letter that might just take an extra few minutes to find out, so to sell to the buyer or the seller in a more efficient way. But just the ideas there. I know I sound sometimes like I push real estate agents, but I've been in this long enough to understand that is very, very important. And I've been in this long enough to understand that I ask you every day to set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Big thanks to John, who's engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, if you'd like to meet Lynda Eisenmann, give me a call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Be happy to make that introduction to you. Again, call me at 800-306-1990 or Ron at ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.